morning, my name is Josh from Cyclones Oz, and here is your detailed forecast update for April 27th, 2025. A lot to get through today. That upper level trough still providing Sydney and the New South Wales East Coast with some very significant severe weather this morning, and boy oh boy does this system look healthy, that's for sure. Offshore from Kempsey and Taree, we have an upper level low pressure system that's spinning itself up quite nicely this morning and really does look quite powerful. It's delivering severe weather for locations north of Wollongong up through Sydney, Newcastle, and then right up towards Taree, with heavy rainfall and damaging winds currently streaming ashore at this time. We've had heavy rainfall overnight as far south as Ulladulla and Narooma, and widespread rainfall accumulations on the New South Wales East Coast have been very high indeed. Even for a system like this, where we would generally be expecting rainfall accumulations between 70 to 120 millimetres overnight, we have had falls up around the 150 to 160 millimetre mark and counting quite rapidly around the Barrington Tops and inland from Forster and Taree. Not to mention the 70 to 80 millimetre falls we had outside of Grafton and Coffs Harbour overnight. Again, some very healthy rainfall accumulations up there. This low pressure system, I mean, it looks impressive, it does. If you just take a look at its appearance right now, it looks like a tropical cyclone. It's got some powerful banding features streaming into it, and those locations between Nelson Bay up to Seal Rocks right now as I record this video, so probably around the Nelson Bay area when you're watching this video, are copping some really significant rainfall accumulations right now, averaging 30 to 40 millimetres an hour, and they're stagnant as well. Some heavy rainfall really moving through these areas. Conditions will deteriorate a little bit more from this low pressure system, especially south into Sydney, where rainfall and showers are expected to stream inland. They're currently all dominating the eastern and the northern suburbs at this point in time, but the western suburbs can expect some good rainfall later on this morning and into early this afternoon, and then conditions should ease off later this afternoon as this low pressure system falls apart as quickly as it was intensifying. It's had a very quick run. I mean, even 12 hours ago you didn't know what was coming. It was just heavy rainfall inland around Tamworth and those sort of areas, and now it's well offshore, and it's a very powerful low pressure system, that's for sure, at this point in time, or it looks like a very powerful low pressure system, quite a photogenic system, that's for sure. Again, looks can be deceiving. It is quite a lot weaker than what it looks like, and wind speeds along the coastline, they're not really severe at this point in time, averaging 30 to 40 kilometres an hour for some of these locations, gusting up to about 40 kilometres an hour at Nelson Bay at this point in time. Realistically, for this to be a severe weather event with damaging winds, you'd be looking at Nelson Bay having wind gusts up around the 70 to 80 kilometre an hour mark at this point in time. So this system here, it looks really strong, but it's not as strong as what it looks like, and that's because it's an upper level low pressure system, which means the powerful winds are whipping around in the upper levels of the atmosphere with this low pressure system, and the more calm conditions are down on the lower levels, but that's where the rainfall is at this point in time. Again, make sure you are remaining vigilant for flash flooding and river flooding this morning. Still plenty more rainfall to be coming through in this part of New South Wales throughout the remainder of this morning and into early this afternoon. Water levels will peak out later this afternoon. There will be thunderstorms here and there as well embedded with this low pressure system, and rainfall is expected to peak out into the Sydney area earlier on this afternoon before rainfall and storms clear out pretty much completely by this evening and into early tomorrow morning. So make sure you are remaining vigilant, stay safe if you're driving around today. I reckon today should be treated as an indoor day, last day of the long weekend. I reckon that should definitely be a good reason to keep it inside, relax and rejuvenate before the school term returns again on, I believe it's Monday or Tuesday for New South Wales, but relax and look after yourself today, because it is going to be wet and wild out there on the New South Wales East Coast, anywhere between Wollongong right up towards Forster, really in the thick of it now with a strong low pressure system, and it certainly is a very good excuse to keep today an inside day, a movie day perhaps. This low pressure system is quite strong indeed. Whilst it's not dangerous, it is definitely severe weather, but it's not dangerous severe weather. It is certainly a good reason to remain well outside of its elements, that's for sure. Anyways, we'll check back on this system later on in the forecast update. I just want to talk about a few more things before I get back to this system here. There's nothing on the cards for southeast Queensland over the next 14 days. You can see in terms of the rainfall forecast, it's looking pretty tame down there. A couple of showers expected here and there, most likely in the next couple of days actually, but for the most part, showers and storms not really problematic. No rainfall throughout the remainder of Queensland either until we get up and towards far north Queensland and the Cassowary Coast, where good rainfall has returned on the forecast modelling over the last couple of days. We're expecting sea breeze showers to come through between the 2nd and the 5th of May, and that's expected to deliver us some healthy rainfall accumulations up in far north Queensland. The forecast is still a little bit uncertain at this point in time, but it is tightening up as every new forecast run comes through, but expecting this turbulent picture to develop throughout the Coral Sea starting on Thursday into Thursday afternoon, and that's going to spark some showers streaming up from the southeast for North Queensland through Thursday afternoon and evening, and then through Friday morning the showers and the rainfall really going to pick up around the Cassowary Coast into early Saturday Saturday morning, some heavy showers and storms expected to be moving through the Cassowary Coast and into the Cardwell Gap area, and then north of the Cardwell Gap area, these showers will contract to the Cassowary Coast and into the Daintree rainforest through Saturday night and into Sunday morning. Showers and rainfall continuing through Sunday and into Monday, and showers will also continue throughout the remainder of the week as well through Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday, before it looks like they ease off properly for good as we get out towards Friday, Saturday and Sunday, the 9th, 10th and 11th of May respectively. A few showers still lingering here and there, but the rainfall is going to be of a concern through Friday night and into early Saturday morning. I'm also looking at this as a perfect example of where we could be seeing convergence zones fire up. Well, it's not quite a perfect example, but it's still a good example of where we could be seeing convergence zones fire up. So for locations between Cardwell up towards Innisfail, you should really be keeping a very close eye on the radar imagery through Friday night and into early Saturday morning. Some very heavy rainfall could be coming through those locations, and we could be left with some very high rainfall accumulations through Saturday morning. Rainfall accumulations haven't been too special on the forecast modelling, and again, you're probably looking at me at this point in time thinking, what am I talking about with only 250 millimetres on the forecast? That's business as usual up in far north Queensland. Well, again, that's where I boil back to where I'm saying, well, we could be seeing some convergence zone activity fire up here, and you can see 4-day rainfall accumulations looking pretty healthy here on these forecast modellings, and even if I can track this to 3-day rainfall accumulations starting Friday and out towards Sunday, there is some heavier stuff up here in far north Queensland, and my general rule of thumb is, depending on the forecast model, you can get away with doubling, if not tripling, this type of rainfall. 100 millimetres isn't enough to flood a drain pipe up in far north Queensland, but when we start talking about 200 to 300 millimetres coming through in just one night, that's when we start to see those river levels rises and some flash flooding here and there, and that's what we could be seeing on Friday night and into early Saturday morning and Saturday afternoon. Certainly something worth keeping an eye on at this point in time, and certainly something worth keeping in the back of your head through Friday and in towards Saturday. If you live up in the Cassowary Coast, again, there's no need to be panicking or preparing for this flooding event, or not flooding event, but this rainfall event that we're going to be seeing throughout this next coming weekend. There's no need to be panicking or preparing for it whatsoever, but again, keep it in the back of your head. This is certainly going to be a bit of heavy rainfall up in far north Queensland. May we can still see these heavy showers, especially into early May. They're not unheard of, and they happen almost every year. They have a tendency to happen. We have been looking at the long-range forecast of the last couple of months, and we were told that the start of May especially was going to be a lot wetter than average, and this is the rainfall that we're expecting to come through in the first week of May. And even looking at the longer-range forecast as well, there are signs of rainfall coming through into the second week of May. I mean, I wouldn't really get your hopes up if you're excited for the rainfall, that's for sure, but it does look like there could be a couple of good drops of rainfall between the 10th and the 15th of May as well, but just a little bit too early to tell at this point in time. In short, for those along the Cassowary Coast and into the Daintree rainforest, you're expecting between 100 and 150 millimetres coming through Friday night and into early Saturday morning, and that is, of course, the wettest of locations. Areas around Cairns and closer to the coastline won't be expecting anywhere between 10 to 50 millimetres of rainfall. In fact, even 50 millimetres around the Cairns area is probably a little bit steep at this point in time. And then for locations south of Cardwell, including Ingham, Halifax and Lucinda, rainfall accumulations there will likely be in the lower single digits between 10 and 50 millimetres as well. Heavy rainfall is not expected south of Ingham, so Townsville, Airborne, those areas can pretty much write off their chances completely of heavy showers and rainfall. Not expecting anything significant there either. But rainfall accumulations could still pack a punch, especially between Tully up towards Innisfail and Fishery Falls, and these are the locations that we generally see the very extreme rainfall accumulations here. So into the extreme eastern parts of the Atherton Tablelands, we could be seeing rainfall accumulations between 100 out to about 300 millimetres through Friday night and into Saturday and early Sunday morning. Rainfall accumulations there at the 300 millimetre mark do start to become a little bit more problematic, and that's certainly something that we're going to keep a very close eye on over the next couple of days. Any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the comment section down below, but you can see some good rainfall numbers now really beginning to build on the longer range forecast modelling. And if we cross-reference this between other forecast models as well, the GFS are really calling for some good rainfall to stream in. I believe it's from low pressure that's going to be spinning up south of PNG through Friday, Saturday and in towards Sunday, and that actually looks like the Daintree rainforest could pick up the majority of the rainfall here on the GFS forecast solution. Into the first week of May, you can see the GFS calling for widespread falls north of the Cassowary Coast between 100 out to about 150 millimetres of rainfall, and peak falls offshore expected to be up around that 300 to 400 millimetre mark, which is even a lot for the GFS forecast model. Again, certainly something I'm going to keep a close eye on at this point in time. These are two completely different solutions and two completely different options for the rainfall to kind of take, I guess, up in far north Queensland. They could either come in from the showers for the southeast, for the southern parts of the Cassowary Coast and into the Daintree rainforest, or we're going to be seeing some really significant rainfall just build over in far north Queensland. Generally speaking, still a little bit too early to tell, but I'm kind of leaning onto the forecast that we really dove into, and that being the eastern ref, where we've got those showers coming coming through Friday night into Saturday morning, easing off by Saturday afternoon, and a few residual showers coming in here and there. Will be interesting to see what happens though, certainly, and I'll be keeping very close tabs up on far north Queensland over the next couple of days. And of course, any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the comment section down below, and I'll help you out down there as well. Let's shift focus now to Tropical Low 30U. We've been talking about this system for nearly 2 weeks now. In fact, probably close to 2 weeks, because I remember when Tropical Cyclone Errol was in development, we were talking about this system here potentially coming in and swooping the name out from Tropical Cyclone Errol. So this system's been kicking around for a long time. It's still a convective mess, a convective bubble bath north of the Northern Territory outside of Cape Wessel and Nullarbor. It's kind of in a bit of a stalemate at this point in time. We were expecting it to strengthen throughout the course of this weekend, and it has done so to a degree, I guess, but organisation still looking very disappointing from this tropical low, and it's definitely the remnants of what was once a relatively formidable tropical low at this point in time, but still some good convection firing up here and there, and it's good news for parts of the Northern Territory because it is providing some much needed rainfall accumulations to many areas around the northeastern parts of the Northern Territory, especially around Cape Wessel, Nullarbor, and then some of the other locations as well, such as Narrawilly. There's some good rainfall accumulations falling here and there, very healthy indeed. They've missed out on the wet season for all intents and purposes over in the Northern Territory, especially around Darwin, so that's what I've been saying over the last couple of days, that every drop of rainfall that falls from this low pressure system is a bonus and should be treated like liquid gold. And there's been plenty of bonus rainfall over the northeastern parts of the Northern Territory, but unfortunately nothing to be talking about for areas around Katherine and Darwin. And whilst I'm not expecting significant rainfall around Katherine and Darwin either, and that's why I'm calling all of this rainfall bonus rainfall, a couple of good drops here and there that have been on the forecast for the last couple of days would be very, very nice indeed. They're just absolutely desperate for the rainfall, and it cannot come at a better time at this point in time. Or it couldn't, if it didn't come, it'd be coming at a pretty bad time, but any rainfall right now would be very, very welcome around the Darwin and the Katherine area. There are a few showers on the forecast between Monday and Tuesday, so it might be a day to get excited for, but again, don't get your hopes up for rainfall over in the Northern Territory. Just with how this wet season has ran, there's not likely to be too much in the way of rainfall, and again, coming through in thundery showers, it's going to be very hit and miss for some of these locations. Tropical Low 30U is going to be kicking with us for a little bit longer though. You can see as still a relatively respectable low pressure system, or a traceable low pressure system at least. It's going to be streaming into the Timor Sea through Tuesday and in towards Wednesday, and then south of Indonesia and Timor through Thursday and into Friday the 1st and the 2nd of May respectively. So this system here could kick around into early May. The remnant energy of this system here, or the remnant energy of this system, will be dispersed over the Cocos Keeling Islands and Christmas Island through the 4th and the 5th of May, where it could eventually merge into becoming another very broad low pressure system or tropical low, but it's more likely to just remain out there, and that's where it will meet its demise out to, or somewhere between the 3rd out to about the 9th or the 10th of May at this point in time. Still a little bit uncertain, but we're talking about a tropical low that's got no impact or no bearing on the weather scene for Australia, apart from a couple of showers over the next couple of days in the Northern Territory. But yeah, if it is going to rain in the Northern Territory, it's got until about Tuesday or Wednesday to do so, because beyond that, it is looking pretty dry for a lot of locations over in the Northern Territory. And you can see, starting the forecast modelling here from the 1st of May, apart from a couple of good drops here and there through the northeastern parts of Arnhem Land, there's nothing really to be speaking about. And if we push this forecast forward even further into the 2nd week of May, and what we can see throughout the start of the 2nd week of May, rainfall accumulations not looking good at all for the Northern Territory. They've got out until about the 5th or the 6th of May before the rainfall completely dies off for the Northern Territory, and pretty much everywhere around the Northern Territory as well. And that's a similar scene for Western Australia as well. There's no rainfall in the forecast of the Kimberley region over the next 14 days basically, apart from a couple of maybe lucky showers here and there, but the tropics are in their dying days now, or in their dying weeks, and the rainfall is going to drop off in the next 2 weeks or so for the Northern Territory and Western Australia. I imagine far north Queensland is going to be a bit more stubborn and take maybe up towards a month or two for the rainfall to completely clear out of there. And then what will be in June, and then July, then August, and then September, and the rainfall will be knocking on far north Queensland's door once again. They don't get much of a dry season up there. Anyways, it's time to talk about winter weather. I mean, we've got quite a bit of it on the forecast now, and the scene for winter weather is well and truly upon us as we get in towards late April and early May. The southwest of Western Australia is going to be the first that's impacted by a series of cold fronts that's going to build throughout the 1st and the 2nd of May, but that's not before we get some rather unwelcome and some very warm weather into the first couple of days, into the first day of May and the last couple of days of April. Let's talk about those temperatures right now. Whilst they are remaining cold and if not icy around parts of the Wheatbelt region, they have been like that for the last couple of days. We're expecting them to warm up to relatively fine days, especially starting Monday and in towards Tuesday. Mid-20s expected into the southwest of Western Australia, mid-20s expected around Perth as well, mid to high 20s expected through the Perth metro area on Tuesday, and then high 20s expected as you get into the northern parts of the Wheatbelt. High 20s expected in Perth, high 20s if not early 30s expected into the Wheatbelt on Wednesday the 30th of April, and then early 30s can be expected through Perth and parts of the Wheatbelt region, and even down in towards the southwest and the south coastal region through Thursday the 1st of May. We will be saved by a cold front. I do not want this weather to stick around, that's for sure, but generally speaking, when we see a cold front that's going to come through with 30-degree weather on the backside of it, we're going to be seeing some pretty significant thunderstorm activity, or at least some shower activity develop. That's exactly what we saw about a week ago into the Perth metro area, line of severe thunderstorms developing after a run of hot and humid days, and that's likely what's going to be the case through Friday morning and into Friday afternoon. There'll be a good setup for a few thunderstorms here and there moving through into the Perth metro area throughout Friday afternoon or early Friday afternoon, and then a couple of showers expected to follow behind this system through Friday afternoon and into Friday evening, and then through Saturday the big cold front's going to come through, expecting a pretty significant one to come through actually through Saturday morning and into early Saturday afternoon, and that's going to drag up some pretty good showers on the backside of this system here, which is going to drop those temperatures through Sunday the 4th of May, and showers continuing through the 4th and the 5th of May as well, and even out towards the 6th, this cold front's really going to have quite a bearing on the West Australian weather and into the Perth metro area, and as such those temperatures are going to remain very cold through Sunday the 4th, Monday the 5th, and Tuesday the 6th of May. Temperatures and conditions will calm down relatively speaking through Wednesday and Thursday out towards the later parts of the forecast period. Into the second week of May it will warm up a little bit more, and expecting conditions to be a little bit drier. I had a conversation yesterday and I'm saying that generally speaking we get about a week of wintry weather into the first week of May or the last week of April, and that generally is what we expect on a yearly basis into the southwest of Western Australia. And again, it's arrived bang onto the long range forecast time here, and then we generally get that followed by about 2 weeks of solid summery weather, or a return to almost summery weather, where the Great Australian Bight churns out that high pressure system and we just get swamped with heat and wind and whatnot over in the southwest of WA, and especially through the Perth metro area, and then winter weather returns into late May or early June, and that's generally when we're talking about just those series of cold fronts coming through, and that's the weather that we'll see for the next 4 months. Rainfall accumulations looking very healthy throughout this weekend as well. You can see, if I can figure out how to pull this back here, this is the one design flaw that windy.com has. It's a bit of a nuisance, it is, the fact that the rainfall accumulation is a very fiddly bar to use, but you can see between Thursday the 1st out to Tuesday the 6th and the 7th of May, so the first week of May, some healthy rainfall accumulations can be expected across the southwest of Western Australia, with peak falls up to 50 millimetres expected, and widespread falls, especially around the Perth metro area, between 20 and 40 millimetres expected to be the norm, with up to 35 millimetres expected in the Perth CBD, and more rainfall expected into the southern and the southeastern suburbs around the Perth area. Good rainfall also along the south coastal region as well, up to 60 millimetres outside of Albany, and that rainfall here, I've got no reason to doubt it whatsoever. Good rainfall also extending into the Wheatbelt with falls between 5 and 25 millimetres, so if you're out in the Wheatbelt, seeding should be underway or getting ready to be underway. I reckon the perfect time to be seeding, if you haven't had rainfall already, it would be next week, or maybe later on into next week around the 15th to the 20th of May, considering the rainfall is not likely to be far behind that date, that's for sure. But if you have had some rainfall, get your seed into the ground throughout the remainder of this weekend and into very early next week, because a little bit of rainfall is going to be coming through as we get in towards the first week of May, and then beyond that it shouldn't be more than about 2 or 3 weeks before the rainfall returns for good as we get into the middle parts of winter. Interesting stuff, that's for sure. Just to round this video out, there's not an awful lot to be talking about for Victoria, South Australia. It's still looking relatively high and dry over there. Tasmania expecting some good rainfall, but this low pressure system here, I mean, this looks more impressive than Tropical Cyclone Alfred was when it made landfall in southeast Queensland about 2 months ago now. More time has flown, hasn't it? But Nelson Bay really in the thick of things right now. Some good rainfall streaming ashore at this point in time for this part of New South Wales, and I imagine this really does feel like some severe weather. Some good showers and storms now streaming up from the southeast and moving into the Sydney's eastern suburbs as well. They'll be well and truly into the eastern suburbs as this video comes out, and plenty of rainfall expected to move into the Sydney area as we get through the next couple of hours as well. Some good rainfall accumulations can be expected, and some great rainfall accumulations currently occurring outside of the Barrington Tops, Nelson Bay and Seal Rocks, with falls overnight, like I said, up to 150 millimetres, with more still counting and more still coming down in those areas. Quite healthy indeed. Anyways, that is all that I have time for in today's forecast update. This has been an interesting interesting one, lots to get through, that's for sure. And if you have enjoyed it, then please consider leaving a like and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I do apologise about the late update. I managed to sleep through another alarm this morning, so they're about 40 minutes behind. My day is just about 40 or 50 minutes behind this morning, unfortunately. So again, I do apologise for that. That is all from me today. A special shout out to the channel sponsors. I couldn't run this show without them, and I'll catch you all in the next storm. Goodbye.